So I thought this was, I know I try and always do nicer stories at the end. So this one's actually nice. It's, New York is about to get sued by a lot of people for the way they handled the protests. I'm sure part of that would include when they just ran over people in the exact same way that we covered earlier. So now this is from The Intercept. The New York police deliberately assaulted dozens of peaceful protesters, medics, and legal observers in one of the summer's most violently repressed riots, trapping people in the street past a city-imposed curfew before beating and arresting them in what Police Commissioner Dermot Shea, I don't know, describes as, quote, a plan that was executed nearly flawlessly. That's pretty high praise. At least 236 people were arrested at the June 4th protest in the Mott Haven neighborhood of the Bronx, and at least 61 were injured by police, some left with broken noses and fingers, lost teeth, and permanent nerve damage. It's not good. According to a detailed report on Wednesday by the Human Rights Watch, the police responded to the peaceful Mott Haven protest was intentional, planned, and unjustified. The report concluded the protest was peaceful until the police responded with violence. It's almost like the police are a gang, and they're not trying to get things down, but spin them up. More than 100 people have filed notice of their intent to sue the city over police actions that day, which are likely to cost the city millions. Sadly, not to the police, it's to the people of New York, in misconduct settlements and legal fees. The protest, one of hundreds that followed the police killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis, came after Mayor Bill de Blasio declared an 8 p.m. curfew following looting in other parts of the city, which, by the way, we've covered enough of those things to say a really good portion of those are undercover police or provocateurs that are against everything that the protests stand for. But then it's just like the same thing. It's like, oh my God, Antifa's breaking all this stuff. I want to remind everyone, Antifa's a fashion statement. Yeah. It's just wearing all black. You can't look at someone wearing all black with a ski mask and go, I know what they are, I know who they are. Because a lot of times it's just cops pretending to be part of groups so they have reasons to break it up. Or people trying to take advantage of the situation for monetary gain, or people trying to associate looting because there's a mask and they can't be identified, so may as well be the narrative. Anyway, so most people arrested in the Bronx were charged with curfew violations or unlawful assembly. Many were held overnight with no food, including several who were injured and received no medical attention. The majority of the charges have since been dismissed. It's almost as if they didn't hold up, because we know if they could, they would prosecute all those people, persecute technically. Human Rights Watch reconstruction of the events based on about 100 interviews and the review of 155 videos by participants and bystanders reveal that about, ready for this?
Well, let's hear it.
10 minutes before the curfew, police deliberately corralled protesters using a controversial law enforcement tactic known as kettling. We've seen that and covered that here in the city of Chicago, and we're always very depressed when people walk right into the kettle. Preventing people from dispersing. When the curfew kicked in, so effectively they've boxed people in. They're not allowed to leave because there's police in every direction around them. Then they hold them there. They wait till the curfew's finished, and then they go, you guys are unlawful assembling. You're past curfew. We're going to beat you up now because you're breaking the law that we sort of forced. Anyway, so what do? They when the curfew kicked in, police moved in, trapped the crowd, shoved people from the to the ground, pepper sprayed them, beat them with batons from the top of parked cars, violently arrested dozens of them. Police also detained several medics and legal observers, despite the mayor of New York saying, we would never do that. Police on the scene were supervised by 24 senior officers in white shirts, including the highest-ranked uniformed officer of the department, Chief of Police Terrence Monahan, who can be seen in one video confronting one of the protest organizers. Monahan also played a key role in the police repression of a 2004 protest at the Republican National Convention. So this is not the first time that this has happened with this guy. It's nice when precedents are set. similarly kettling and assaulting protesters, ultimately costing the city $36 million in misconduct settlements. So now, New York, it's a lot more people, I'm sure, and a lot more coverage and a lot more of that. So it's probably going to be well above $36 million. This was just completely unjustified, unnecessary, excessive use of force, and a brutal crackdown on peaceful protesters. Ada Sawyer, acting crisis and conflict director at Human Rights Watch and co-author of the report, told The Intercept Monahan's presence, she said, really showed how the violence and abuse is encouraged and condoned by the NYPD and how the system really fuels impunity. Because remember, de Blasio's biggest issue that he had when this all happened was, hey, you're not allowed to, you know, I did say that, like, the police were, like, scared, because remember, if you're a cop that's scared, you can kill anyone you want, that they were scared and they had to run over protesters even though they made themselves go into that position. But if you're a goddamn private citizen, you don't get to do that. I don't know why that turned into a slightly southern accent or Texan accent. It doesn't matter. Point is, this can really cost them a lot of money, and I think it will actually be really useful for all the people that are like, those violent protests everywhere, because we see the media, it's like if 1/100th of the people do anything perceived as violent, everyone's violent. This will be nice to say, no, it's about $100 million says otherwise.
So, I mean, you addressed everything in the story, and I just kind of want to just reiterate again. Look, there's so many videos on social media that we saw happening all across this country of buildings being broken into and being set on fire. The media presented it as protesters, but it wasn't the protesters. Right. It was off-duty cops or police who were on duty. There's videos of them having those bricks, laying them out there, just enticing people to do it. There's so many other video work of other individuals causing problems, and the media presented it as the protesters, and it wasn't the protesters. So I do hope that something positive does come out of this, but the only way we're going to make sure that it does is if people hold it accountable. People continue to push, keep on pushing, and keep on speaking truth to power. Because if we remain silent on this, the next protest is going to be co-opted again by the media, by the establishments. We see the same talking points happen over and over again, and we cannot let that happen under any circumstances. We must remember those who have passed away, to George Floyd and the countless thousands of other George Floyds out there, to the countless thousand other Breonna Taylors that are out there. Justice must be served, and the people protesting have every right to protest, and the police have no right to use chemical weapons on them that have been outlawed by the Geneva Convention. We want to fight for a better future. We got to make sure that justice is served. So with that being said, I don't know, Daniel, do you have any other final notes you'd like to add to this story?
No, I think that this is just, I'm happy that at least it seems like it's sort of a perfect build-up for a lawsuit where the person who literally did the same thing before and lost a lot of money for that city is doing it again.
Yeah.
And in America, it's sort of the most you can ask for.
Yeah, and the thing is to, you know, just we as citizens have every right to have assemblies. We have every right to be treated with respect. I believe in the First Amendment. Freedom of speech is incredibly important. It's very fragile, and we must ensure its protection. So, you know, I'm getting tired of seeing that double standard where, you know, if we rewind back the clocks to March, where we saw all those right-wingers, they had every right to protest. They had every right to use their freedom of speech. They had their guns. They were spitting and yelling in front of cops' faces. But as soon as the George Floyd protest happening, exact opposite. Even though there were peaceful protesters, the police in full body armor with chemical weapons and the need to assault people, they were constantly going after those people. I want to see those protesters who are protesting for George Floyd, for Breonna Taylor, and the countless others who have died from police brutality be given the same privileges and respect that we saw from the right-winger protesters.
Yeah, and there's a story that we're likely going to cover once it develops a little bit more, but with Breonna Taylor, someone that was part of the grand jury came out, it's like that the police were lying to everyone. They said that the grand jury didn't want to accuse any of the cops for murder or any manslaughter thing, and And the police have been saying, no, the grand jury said we don't. They're not for homicide. They don't think any homicide charges apply. But this person who's trying to sue to actually be able to speak on this because they're under privacy, whatever, is saying no. We were actually told that we wouldn't even be able to do that.
Wow.
So
again, there's probably more to this developing story. And again, Breonna Taylor was murdered. That's the truth of it. She was murdered. And justice was not served. And we can't keep turning a blind eye to it.
Can you imagine if it was like, oh man, I thought it was my house. I went in, but people were there that I didn't think should be in my house. So I killed them. Oh wait, no, my bad. That's not my house. Well, I guess it was an honest mistake. I shouldn't get charged.
Right. All right, so I think with that being said, there's nothing more we can really add except please, everyone, have a safe weekend. Look, the COVID-19 virus, I don't like it either. I'm still frightened by it. But if you're going to go out, wear a mask, wash your hands, social distance, be safe about it, be smart about it. Put a mask on. It's not going to hurt anybody. The President of the United States got it, and he has a whole wall of protectors around him, and it didn't work. And he's tested positive, and he's at the Walter Reed Medical Center right now. You have Daniel right now wearing an awesome mask.
Our masks are literally just to the right and left of us during the show. The way we do it is literally we are very careful who we're in contact with. Mm-hmm. And anytime that we're outside, we always wear masks on. And only when we're on air do we take them off. Or only when we're in studio do we take them off. We all try to keep distance as much as we can. But, we're doing our best too.
Yep. And it's very important. You can also have that awesome swag mask in our, if you go to our Teesprings, it's a link in the description box below. And, you could have some awesome Hardlands Media gear if you would like to have some
stuff there.
Yeah. We got some cool stuff.
Not just masks.
Pretty cool. We got some awesome coffee mugs, which is a scientific fact that if you drink out of them, the drinks taste better. So there.
We have good leggings too.
Also, again,
drinking the leggings.
Also, everyone, we do wish you guys to have a safe weekend, though. But so, again, HLM, this YouTube that you're watching, this is where we do our live stream show. This show will be clipped, and you could see those clips and interviews and special events on our older YouTube channel, which is back to life now, thankfully. Mm-hmm. Praise the YouTube gods and the Messiah.
Yes.
And the Messiah. And so, go to that channel. Be sure to subscribe to that one, too, because Hardlands Media is back. Also, subscribe to our fun channel, which is Chicago Reacts. That's a project that Daniel's been working on.
Almost at 1,000 subscribers in 2 months. We're like less than 50 away, I think.
And also subscribe to us on Rockfin, because this is my own personal project. I want to take over Rockfin. Mm-hmm. I want us to be the leading show on Rockfin. Help us make that happen. But with that being said, we are going to have a Patreon show. The only way you can see it is if you are a Patreon supporter. But with that being said,
by the way, our Patreon shows are a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have fun tonight.
I'm gonna be talking about how sick I am right now. Right in there. So you'll have to, if you want to know, wait, what? Daniel, you have to wait to the Patreon show.
Don't worry, it's not as bad as you think.
Or is it? I gotta build hype.
Oh wait, yeah, that's true.
I might be nothing, or it might be terrible.
It might be a nothing burger. But was that?
I might have a day left. I might have the rest of my life.
All right. So with that being said, shout out to Daniel. Shout out to our engine seer, Faze, who's manning the board. Please, everyone, have a safe weekend. Peace to you guys, and let us all do what we can to build a better future.